Alrighty, guys. We are live with another episode of the Marketing Without Rules podcast. And today I'm joined by Matt Thibeau, a fellow Canadian. And we're going to riff tonight about ads. So, Matt, awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show today. I'm really excited to just talk about marketing.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We've been connected, I think, for 4 or 5 years now at this point. Because
Yeah.
I was looking through the other day when you launched your book, and it was like late 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah. We've been in a similar space and talking for a number of years now, for sure. It's been really fun watching you grow and do more things and launching this podcast. So I'm really excited, man.
Awesome. Yeah, no, lots of agencies. Just an aside here, we both saw lots of agencies who kind of started around the same time we did, and it's the attrition rate is massive. Everybody thinks it's just going to be a walk in the park, and you can just work from your mom's basement and make millions of dollars. But it's the strong survive, and those that expected easy money coming in just kind of fall off.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a lot like just any business, right? When it's getting popular, then you get a lot of people pop in, and then time will tell, right? Who can take a couple arrows in their back, so to speak.
For sure. Awesome. So the topic of tonight is, do ads work? And I'm going to pose that question to you, and then we'll roll into it. But Matt, do ads work for businesses?
The answer is sometimes. And we can go into kind of the nuance of when they don't work and then the nuance of when they do work.
I love it. And I think segueing from the agencies that make it and the ones that don't, you have pivoted and become, ads is still your thing, but you are focusing mainly on Facebook ads now, and used to be really focused on Google ads. So I'm excited to dive into that. I do want to actually kind of open with that, like why Facebook ads for you. But before we get into that, give people a little background of who you serve and what you do, because you're not just your $500 a month Facebook ads guy.
Yeah. So basically what we do is we work with residential contractors, and basically we manage all of their Facebook ads for them. And then we also implement some automations on the back end to really help them with the appointment setting side of things. And we can talk more about some appointment setting stuff there too. And so basically, it's a complete, we solve the issue basically that a lot of contractors run into when they're trying to grow, is just like dialing in the lead generation and client acquisition.
Yeah, and that's huge. I know that you're focused on a lot more than just like, hey, here's a phone number from a dead person to call, but hey, you're going to help your clients, do the follow up and the nurturing and whatnot to get an appointment from that lead.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to do what we have to do to make our clients successful, right? So if that means that, our team needs to jump on a call with you and kind of do a little bit of quick role play or whatever, just for you to understand, like, how to sell or how to do whatever, like, we're going to do what it takes. Obviously that's not like what we want to be doing every single time, but if that's what it takes to help our clients achieve success in their goals, then we do what we have to do.
I love it. So let's go back to my question before around Google ads. You used to be really heavy into Google ads. You had a book on Google ads that you wrote, which I mentioned there in late 2020. Really solid book, solid audio book as well. I think that's how I listened to it, was while I was biking. I was listening to that book. So check it out, guys, if you haven't. Some good nuggets, whether you're doing Facebook or Google. But why the pivot, and then take us on the journey there.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's it's a pivot that we made for a couple of different reasons. Number one is the rising ad costs right now on all platforms. So whether it's Facebook, Google, or whatever, ad costs are rising now, and that's normal. That's been going on for a long time. But now we're kind of getting to the point where I would say the barrier of entry for someone, the average contractor, because that's who we work with, for them to be able to jump into that market for Google ads and be able to effectively generate enough volume of leads for it to really make sense for their business, I'm finding is getting more and more difficult to be able to justify. For example, the average, I would say like the average lead on Google would be somewhere around like $100, especially for like some of the niches that we work with, like landscaping, painting, etc. It's around like, I don't know, $50 to $100. Whereas like on Facebook ads, we can easily get that cost down for like $20 a form fill or whatever. So it's a fraction of the cost. Then the next question would be like, oh, like, is the quality of like Google ads leads a lot better though than Facebook? So it all balances out. Well, I'm finding personally right now, because every month we review like leads with our clients and what the status is and all that. And I'm personally finding now it's like the difference of them is like there's not enough difference to justify it. We'll be running a Google ad account and we'll be running a Facebook ad account for a client. And we'll look through and it's like, hey, like most of your deals are coming from Facebook right now. We'll just shut off Google and put all that money into Facebook because it's making more sense for you and the deals are bigger.
That's super interesting.
That's just kind of where we're going now, just because for us personally, it's producing better results, more predictable results. And then when things aren't working, we have some really strong SOPs and systems that we can implement to get it working a lot faster than it would be for Google.
I think that's a marketing without rules moment right there, is when, not only in your agency, you've pivoted to where it's the most effective for your clients, but as a business owner, test, track, make sure you know where your leads are coming from and put the money into where you're getting the most return on your investment. This episode is a bit more on the paid ad side, whether you're hiring someone like Matt to run it or you're doing it yourself. We're going to go through some stuff here, some tips and whatnot for you guys, but you have to be smart. You have to not just, pass your money over to someone and then hope for the best. Like, track where your leads are coming from and make sure that you know what your return is on that.
Yeah, I know. And we were just talking about marketing agencies like over the years disappearing and stuff. Ad management is kind of unfortunate because it's one of those services that has like also a really low barrier to entry, right? So, we get a lot of people that we talk to where they're like, oh, like my cousin's just going to run it for me or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you can run some ads and get results like, with not a lot of like knowledge. Like if you're just a DIYer and you just, set like an ad budget and you just kind of make up an ad you think would work, and right, like you can get leads coming through. The difference though comes down to like the optimization, and then really coming down to like looking at the numbers and being like, hey, how can we get this lower, and having the knowledge to actually get it lower. That's the thing. It's like people can get leads from advertising, but it really takes an expert. Trust me, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. It really takes an expert to get to the point where you can just look at the numbers and be like, this is the issue here, that's the issue there. We need to do this in order to get you that result, and that takes time.
It goes back to the story of the guy who was hired to fix a ship. The engine wasn't working. I'm going to butcher the story here a little bit, but we'll get the gist of it. And he goes in and he takes a little hammer and he taps in one place, and the engines fire up, and the propeller starts turning and everything's good. And he invoices them for like $10K, and they're like, "What? It took like 5 minutes." He's like, "Yeah, but like I knew where to tap." and that's what you're paying for. Yeah. That's what you're paying for when you hire someone like Matt. You can go out and build a house yourself, or you can hire someone to do it for you. We're not bashing those that want to do it. In fact, I think it's fantastic when business owners know some, and maybe they started.
We love that. We love working with someone who's run it in the past, because now we're not having to explain to you what cost per lead is and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I want to get that out there for you guys. Is there's, come in here, learn, and see what you can take away if you're doing it yourselves, and then that Matt's someone that you can lean on. So Facebook ads here. The quality of the leads, you already touched on that. That's a very common, pushback from people, and it's a pretty common thing that if you're setting up the ads wrong, you are going to get random leads coming in, and there's some ways around that. But talk a bit about. I know you just put up a YouTube video on some of the things that people do wrong. So guys, you can go check out. I think it was 5 things that you're doing wrong with your ads. But talk about it here for people listening in.
Yeah, for sure. You touched on a couple different things. So you said quality of the leads with Facebook. That's like a common concern of people. Other things are like people say, I'm just not getting any leads. Other people will say, I'm getting leads, but I'm not able to close them. Right. And so it's important to first understand what your issue is. The title of this podcast is do ads even work? Well, there's a lot of steps that go into that to making someone say this doesn't work or this does, right? And there's a lot of things in between that. So basically, to make Facebook ads work, I've realized it basically comes down to these 5 different things. And whenever someone I'm talking to, you know, a contractor, any kind of business owner, and they're saying like, oh, my ads aren't working, it usually comes down to one of these 5 things or all of them. So the first thing with Facebook ads that you need to understand is you need to have the right budget in place to actually get the results that you want. You know, so sometimes I'll be talking to someone, they'll be like, oh, like, you know, I ran some ads on Facebook and I just didn't really get the results that I wanted. I'm like, oh, like, what were you spending? They're like, oh, like $5 a day, like something like that. And it's like, you need to do the money math when it comes to advertising, right? So think about this. Like, let's say that the average cost per lead comes in at like $25 or $20, whatever. Let's say that. If you're doing $5 a day, then that means that you're not going to be able to set yourself up to even get 1 lead a day. And that's assuming that it's $20 a lead, right? So let's say that it's more expensive, it's $50. Well, you're going to run that for quite a while until you finally see 1 lead come through. And if the 1 lead comes through and it's not so good, then you're gonna be like, oh, this sucks, right? So you need to make sure that the actual math makes sense. So you need to start off with a decent budget, right? So I don't touch an ad account anything less than $1,500 a day. That's the low end for Facebook ads.
$1,500 a day or a month?
Sorry, $1,500 a month. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Sorry. $1,500 a month. Anything less than that, and it's kind of just like your money's better spent elsewhere, in my opinion, or just run it yourself. Then, if you like, don't hire us if you want to come in and do such a low ad budget, because it's just not going to make sense for you.
Yeah, so it's got to cover your retainer. It's got to cover their ad spend.
Yeah, and the impact is not really the type of impact we're looking to make. Anything less than that, it's like it's not enough of an impact for us to be excited about the deal, to be honest.
Yeah.
So make sure that your budget's right. So I would recommend $1,500 or more per month. Sorry, not per day. You can do per day if you're a big business, but so making sure that the ad budget is actually correct. The second thing is making sure that you have enough creatives to actually test on Facebook. So a lot of people, what they'll do is
what's a creative? Can you just define that for someone?
Yeah, that's a great question. So creatives on Facebook is like the image, right? Like the image or the picture, like what someone is looking at, right? So a lot of people, when they create a creative, which is just like the imagery for an ad, they'll just go to Canva or they'll get like some kind of stock image and they'll just kind of like put up something they think looks really good, you know, and they'll do what they think that they should test, right? And so they'll put that up, and a lot of times they're just running the same ad creative, maybe 1 or 2 different ads, and they're just running that with the budget, and they run that for the entirety of the campaign, right? What you need to understand it with Facebook right now, especially, is that it's going to favor specific creatives over other types of creatives, right? And so sometimes it'll surprise you. Like oftentimes we'll have a client and they'll go out and film like a $5,000 ad from like a local videographer, you know, and be like, hey, I made this new ad. Like, I want you guys to run this, you know, as ads. And then we'll run that. And then we'll have like, you know, some other pictures that they just took on their iPhone. And lo and behold, like the expensive ad bombs and doesn't like get any leads. But then the, you know, shitty iPhone picture that they took of them doing a thumbs up with their crew is like pulling $20 leads. And right. So that's the nature of Facebook. So you need to understand that. So right now, what we're finding, the 3 different types of creatives that are just working really well right now. Number 1 are just simple before and after pictures taken on your phone. So if they look very professional, like with a super professional camera, we find that they actually perform worse. My theory behind that, I don't know why it is, but my theory is that I think people just think it's more believable when you see it from a phone. It just seems like it's actual original content and not a stock image. So before and after pictures, that's a popular one you probably see. Second are action shots. So these are just pictures of your crew, or, you know, you have wrapped trucks, like anything like that, or someone doing an installation, anything like that. People love to see that too, because it kind of shows like behind the scenes of your business, right? Yeah. And then the last type of ad, these are kind of like, you know, our secret weapon right now, are just these 1-minute video selfie ads. And so we give our clients all the scripts and everything, and then they just film these really simple ads just on their phone, you know, and they just record themselves talking to it. And then we edit them up and then we run those. And those work really well because the homeowner's kind of already getting like this preview of what it's like to work with you before they even work with you. And so running those 3 different ads all in conjunction together, they're getting the proof of the action shots. You can see that you're a real business. You have like a team and everything. Then they're seeing the work, the quality of it. And then they're getting these like really personal videos. So those are working really well. So that's kind of like a high level overview of the creatives.
It's like a 1-2-3 punch, basically, where you're just constantly hitting them with something new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Let me know if I'm taking too long here and explaining.
No, this is awesome. I'm liking the detail that you're going into, because this is some actionable stuff that people can take.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so then the third thing that a lot of people, will get wrong when it comes to Facebook ads is just the messaging in general. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but sometimes you'll just read an ad and you'll be like, I don't even know like what's for sale here. Like, I don't even know what's being offered. I don't know what's for sale. And, we were talking about bad quality leads. Well, a lot of the time you're going to get bad quality leads if your messaging is bad, if you're not actually clear and articulating who you're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. So the messaging in the ad, that's what we call ad copy, right? And so just a really simple trick that we use, that we teach a lot of people to be able to write great messages and be able to qualify traffic and get the type of clients that you want to get, is using an if-then statement in your copy. So you just say, if you're looking for, the best painting service in Ottawa, Ontario, then we're the team for you, or whatever, right? If you're looking for, whatever it is, but like just specifically saying, if you're looking for this, then we can do this, or then this is the case,
Do you and that's a really sorry to interrupt here, but when you're talking about the if then, I noticed you did put Ottawa, Ontario. Do you often put the location as well, just to kind of trigger them twice, so they're seeing the ad, but they're also like, oh, I'm here. This is local.
Yeah, I like to put the name of the city and their location in the copy or in the headline, because we want people to feel like, wow, like this is just for me too.
Yeah, something special about that subconsciously.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, no, and you'll see it often on like websites and landing pages and stuff. There's an SEO benefit, but then there's also like, oh, this is for me, Yeah. Cool. And then I think we've talked about 3. And then the other thing that people will get wrong, so this is the 4th thing that people will get wrong, is the targeting, right? So like sometimes we go into an ad account and they're like, yo, like I don't know why like I'm getting leads from like Africa, bro. And then we go in and it's like set worldwide. You know what I mean?
Has that actually happened?
What's that?
Has that actually happened, that someone was set worldwide?
Oh yeah, all the time, because it's like expanded targeting. So like some people just check like expanded targeting and it just goes to like everywhere, right?
Oh, that's brutal.
I have some horror stories too for like Google Ads, as well. Like
I want to hear them. We'll get into that here in a bit.
Yeah. So the targeting, right? Super, super important. Obviously, you want to target the geographical location, duh. But the other aspect too is like just not constricting too much the targeting, so that you don't have a pool of people to actually work with. Because what some people will do is that they'll go super, super specific on their targeting on Facebook. And then Facebook's like, bro, I only have 10 people basically who fit this criteria. So of course their cost, like people are like, why is my cost per lead so expensive? It's like, because you don't have a big enough pool of people to work with. You know what I mean?
So when you say targeting, can you get into the specifics there for those that don't know what you mean, on what sort of things you can target?
Yeah, really great question. Yeah. So in Facebook, you can actually like target who exactly do I want to show and serve this ad to. So you could do like by the age, by gender, by location, by interest, demographics. Like you can go down to like, hey, have you recently bought a home? Like Facebook knows everything about you. And so right now is really exciting time for marketers, because you can just go into Facebook and be like, find me these people, right? But the problem is that people will go too specific, right? Yeah. So it's kind of a balancing act of like, you want to be specific, but not too specific, because you want to make sure that you have a big enough pool of people to actually serve these ads to, that can sustain a campaign for months, right? And so that's not just going to fatigue and like you've shown it a bajillion times to this pool of people, right?
Amazing. Cool.
And then the last thing is just the call to action. So like, where are you actually sending them to from the ad? Like 9 times out of 10, if someone says, oh, like I ran a Facebook ad and didn't get any leads, that tells me 9 times out of 10 that they're probably sending it to like a shitty website, or like there's some kind of barrier that they're sending that up to, so that they're not getting leads coming through. Maybe you're getting the traffic because traffic is guaranteed. What traffic means is like people visiting whatever you tell them to visit from that ad, right? So that's guaranteed. We're spending money. It's going to go where you're telling it to go. And so if you're getting no leads, it probably means that you're sending it to like a bad website or a bad landing page, or it's just not easy enough for people to actually take an action, or it's not clear enough to take an action.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What actions do you typically use? There's call now, learn more. What are the actions that you typically use as a call out?
We like to do form fields on Facebook. So they're called lead forms right now, like at the time of this podcast. So that is a form that is integrated on Facebook where people can just fill out their information and then that sends to your email. So Facebook likes to keep people on Facebook. So the quality of that lead is going to be much better than if you were doing something like messaging ads where someone just clicks one button, boop, and then it sends you a message. If you do messaging ads, you're going to just get a ton of people just being like, oh, I clicked this by mistake and blah, blah, blah. Now that might make sense though. That might make sense though if you're just like, yo, I just want volume. I just want a lot of people reaching out. Then maybe
we've. And if you have someone like right there, or have an AI responder right there to
exactly. Yeah. It might make sense. Or on the flip side, let's say that you're a super small team, maybe you're a one-man show, and you just want like super qualified leads, or at least more qualified. Then maybe sending to a website would make sense, but you're just going to constrict the lead flow by doing that. So we do a middle ground. It's called lead forms.
Cool. I think Wilton is bringing up a good point here. He says, so I just get angry boomers who don't like having automated messages when they click the ad. So that would be, sounds like he's doing a messenger ad. And then when people click it, you've got like an automated message that hits them from your page probably.
Yeah, so Wilton, that sounds like messaging ads, right? So that's where people are like, leave me alone or whatever. I've seen that before. So that's very typical with messaging ads because Facebook is going to target people who just click on things typically. Like it's going to go out and find people. Facebook just wants to make money. They just want you to take the action that you're telling them to take. So they're going to find people with fat thumbs and people who click on ads just because. And so you're going to get a lot of that for sure. You can still get some good leads, but you're going to get a lot of that.
Yeah, Jordan's exactly in the same boat there. Jordan is here in the house. Andrew, I'm not sure if he's still listening, but we're having a good time here with some guys. Great one there, Wilton. So for Wilton, you would recommend for him to maybe switch to a form ad or something if he's just getting people frustrated by that?
Yeah. So what I would recommend for Wilton is I would recommend him to switch to lead forms. However, I would not recommend him to switch to lead forms depending on the number of those people. So let's say it's like out of 10 leads, if you're getting like, let's say you're getting like 2 people who are angry and like confused or whatever, but the rest of the leads are actually good leads. That's actually not bad because messaging ads will be much cheaper than form fields. You know what I mean? So depending on the numbers, Wilton, it could make sense still for you. But if it's like, 50 or like, 90% of your leads, then yeah, form fields would make more sense.
Great advice. Awesome. Now, when it comes to the ad, you've got your copy, you've got your picture or your creative that we just talked about, and then you've got the call to action. What do you typically use as your preferred call to action? We
just say learn more or get a quote. So in the copy, what we'll say is call or text Lewis and then put the number, or click the learn more button to get your quote today or something like that. So we like to give the option of like, because people do actually want to text and call and stuff like that. So we'll put that in the copy, but the primary call to action is just learn more.
What percentage of people call or text?
I would say that it depends on the niche. So it depends on kind of the niche that you're working with. Like for example, we work with a lot of Christmas light installation contractors, permanent LED lighting for like Christmas time, etc. So those types of campaigns, especially leading up to like go time during Christmas, we notice that's a lot more calls. Like we'll get on the monthly review call with our clients and they'll be like, yeah, these are all like the form fields, but like I'll walk you guys through all the calls and stuff too. And the calls are significant. I would say like around that time, it's probably like maybe like 60-40 favoring lead forms.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot like less calls, but still quite a bit of calls. But then I would say, like, let's say we're doing like painting just for interior painting during like the normal season, like it's definitely like 80% lead forms and like some calls.
40% is crazy. Like if you didn't have that number in the copy, you'd be missing out on some huge amount of leads right there.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Like another one of our clients, he's also a Christmas light installation contractor. He messaged us and was like, guys, I just got this like this big business. It's like a commercial job. And they just texted him and they're like, hey, we saw your ad on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. No lead form, no call, just a simple text. So like, maybe they would reach out, maybe not some other way, but you should definitely have your phone number on the ad.
I personally love texting businesses myself.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
Me too.
We had a plumber locally who I tried to text and their whole system was broken. I tried to use it as a sales pitch there, but they're a little bit, I was like, these guys are amazing. They got text set up. I texted them. I was like asking questions and then didn't hear back for like a week. And then I called them and I was like, okay.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
But yeah, so let's take a break here. We've got a couple of good questions here, but I want to hear some Google Ads horror stories, and then I want to come back to what happens when they hit the lead form. So they've read through your copy, they've looked at your creative, they're interested. They hit your lead form, and then I want to talk about what happens to the leads after that. And I think it's also going to tie in with the fact that you're tracking, your number in the copy that they can text or call is a tracking number. But let's hear some Google Ads. I want to take a little aside here for some horror stories.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the main things with like Google Ads is that, there's something called click fraud. So basically what click fraud is where technically with Google Ads, you pay every single time someone clicks on your ad, right? So technically, like someone could just sit down at a computer and just like go to every single ad and just click on those ads all day, every day for like, a year, and never have any intention of actually buying anything, right? So that's called click fraud. It's a real thing. So, potentially you could be, if you have like a budget of like a significant Google Ads budget of like 5,000 a month or more, like you could potentially spend, like tens of thousands of dollars per year on just fraudulent clicks, right? And so this was one of like the first kind of, I guess, like horror stories for me, was that I was doing Google Ads for a certain number of years, and then someone was talking to me about click fraud, and they're like, no, it's a real thing, man. Like, you really have to check this out, blah, blah, blah. And so I downloaded a tool. It's called PPC Shield, and I just put it on our client accounts just as kind of like a trial to do that. And I ran it for, I think it was like a month, just to see kind of like what was going on. And within that month, I saw it actually listed out all of the IP addresses it detected all of the fraudulent clicks coming from. And I took all of those, IP addresses, and I just like popped them in to see where they're coming from. It's coming from like Finland, like India, like all these like strange countries, that are not like where, the clients are. And so that was when I realized that this is actually a real thing, that, a lot of people spend money on Google Ads without click fraud protection software, and they're spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or a year or whatever, fraudulent clicks. So that was something that was like a pretty eye-opening thing for me, that I was kind of like, okay, like this is really important. So, kind of like some horror stories is like, we have some clients who are spending like 10 grand a month on Google Ads without that. And then we put that on it. And then a couple months later, you can see the amount, and it would be like around 1,000 a month in like just like fake clicks. Like it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
10%. So anyway, that's like one horror story. Another one was kind of what I alluded to, where we went in for a client to do an audit on his ad account before taking it over. And we went in there and we saw that the ads were set to just like worldwide. It wasn't for text ads, it was for display. So if you don't know what that is, it's like where Google will show like these display images, when you're searching through the web and stuff like that. So this particular client was a local business that only did business in like that area, but they're spending a significant budget on just these display ads, just like showing, all over the world, basically. So us just turning that off, is pretty much like already provided a lot of value for them. So
that's wild. That's wild. All right, we'll maybe come if you think of another one, let me know. But we'll
actually have one more. I have one more.
Okay, awesome.
One last one was we did an audit and we popped in, and the guy was like, "Yeah, all of a sudden, like my ads just stopped working." And we went in and we saw that the ads were running for a month to just a dead landing page. The landing page wasn't working, so it's just a broken link, and the ads were just sending to nowhere.
That's a gut punch right there.
Yeah, so. And it wasn't like he was spending peanuts or anything. He was spending a decent amount.
Hey, made you guys look good, and you guys got him sorted out. I imagine he jumped over pretty quick.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go back to lead forms here. I'm gonna hit John and Wilton are having a conversation here about the lead forms here. So personal and personable responses for each and every customer have always been the best for us, then leading them to our website to all information, including our other services and the lead form on the site. So I think that was back in our conversation around, whether you're sending them to a lead form or to the website. So that's that.
So okay,
go for it.
Yeah, so I'm just assuming from that comment there that he's saying like we're running messaging ads. The comment or response comes in, we have a little chat with them. Hey, we'd love to speak with you more. And then you do the website. Yeah. I mean, John, we have some clients who like the messaging ads because they have appointment setters and stuff like that. If it works for you, I'm not saying it's a bad thing for sure.
Yeah, cool. Because you can get cheaper leads through it in some instances for sure. All right. So Wilton says sometimes with the lead forms, something that I've found is that I'll get leads who claim they never have filled out their info. I've changed a few things to make it so they have to fill out their info manually. However, I still get many leads who claim to not have filled the form out.
Yeah. So that issue comes up. So it's good that you changed it so that like they have to fill it out manually, because that was the first thing I was going to suggest to you while I was reading your comment. But then you said that you did that. So there's two things that you could do to fix this. Number one is you could simply just ask a little bit more questions on the lead form just to like really whittle those people out. The second thing that I would want to have a look at is just the targeting on the back end. So sometimes this could happen if the targeting is like expanded targeting or something like that. If it's still happening after that, I would want to know the number of how many of the leads are like they don't recall or something like that, compared to the number of leads that are qualified. Like if let's say it's like 15% of your leads, that would be like still acceptable to me. But you said in your thing that I still get many leads. So if it's like 30% or more, then that would definitely be something that like you could definitely fix. So I'd be curious as to like what the back end looks like for that.
Cool. Wilton, I'm going to tag Matt in the comment thread here so you can connect with him after and go through some of that too. Awesome. John says we require 5 items to submit the forms. Maybe make it harder for the bots to pre-fill the information. You can also try the click this box and verify the pictures.
Yeah. And so like what John said, and Facebook just rolled this out now. I forgot to mention this to you, Wilton. They just rolled this out now where when you put your phone number in, it will actually require an SMS verification. So it will go to your SMS, like it'll text you and say like, verify this is the code. And then you can put it in. So obviously you're going to get a lot less leads. But if that number that you have is like fairly high of like people who are like, I have no idea who you are, that's a very easy fix too. That will help a lot.
Cool. Awesome. He says, thank you there. Some good tidbits there for sure. Awesome. Now let's roll from, okay, they've seen the ads, they've done the thing, they've filled out the form, or they've hit that. What happens? And then I also want to tie that back into the number that we have in the copy for calling or texting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So let's say that, they reach out, so rule number 1 is like with Facebook leads, especially as soon as a lead comes through, just try and get in contact with that lead as fast as possible. Right. So we have some automations that we do where it's like we text the lead, we use automations to send an automatic text, et cetera, like that. But you should be calling that lead as fast as you can with like a real human being, because that's the number one way that you're going to be able to have a conversation with them and do what I call a discovery call or like a qualifying call. And the purpose of that call is just to see if they're a good fit for your business, if you can help them out, et cetera, et cetera. And then you want to book them in for an estimate, right? So a lot of contractors will just wait way too long to actually call those leads, mostly because they're used to dealing with referrals, right? So they're used to getting an email from someone being like, hey, I'm interested in working with you. And then them not answering for a couple of days and be like, yeah, like let's set up a time. And like that person can almost jump through hoops to work with you because Sally down the street said, oh, you got to work with Bob. He's the only guy to work with, blah, blah, blah. Whereas on Facebook, it's way different because these people have no idea who you are. They're probably talking to some other people. And then like, it's a little bit more of like an impulsive thing, right? They just saw an ad, and marketing these days is so good, especially, you know, if you're marketing with someone like Lewis or myself, marketing these days is so good that it will actually like get people to do things that they don't always want to actually do, if that makes sense. So they'll take impulsive actions. And so that's why like you want to take advantage of that moment in time and be like, hey, what got you to like reach out? You know what I mean? So very, very important to call very quickly. Speed to lead is super important.
Yeah, that's I mean, that if that isn't the theme of this show, I don't know what is. Like if you're not hunting, you know, a lot of contractors and business owners are used to gathering. You know, they're used to someone just feeding them leads, a marketing agency, and they'll get to them when they can. But a hunter, you see a lead, you call them back. You get right back on top of them. You know, there's a stat, and I don't remember directly off the top of my head exactly, but something like after the first 5 minutes, your close percentage goes down by 80%. After
wow,
5
that's
minutes.
crazy.
After 5 minutes of not calling someone back, because they're picking up the phone and calling someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, like we've seen it where it's like people, you know, like we do, because we run ads, Facebook ads for ourselves too. And it's like, our response, I call it connection rate, like your ability to connect with a lead when it comes in from an ad. And, you know, I'll do some tests and we see it's like, if you can get that connection rate to be like, you know, almost instant, you're going to be able to speak with pretty much 100% of the leads. But every hour that you wait of connecting with them, it just goes down and down and down. So I definitely believe that stat.
Yeah, because if they just filled it out, you get the info, you shoot them a text, you give them a call, they're still in the mindset of whatever they're doing. Whereas an hour from now, they could be dealing with, you know, a bill collector or their wife shouting at them or whatever.
I did a podcast a little bit ago with a gentleman, Brian Diamond. I think that you guys are friends as well.
Yes,
he's amazing, you know, phenomenal guy, super inspiring. And he told me a story because we were talking about this, like follow up and all this stuff. And he said, man, in my business, we had a lead and we weren't able to get in contact with her. So my salesperson called her 70 times until she finally picked up and she said, oh, I've been busy or whatever, and I didn't recognize this number. And she was actually, she actually moved forward with them and bought in the end. So he was just saying like, that's a funny story to just say like, you know, a lot of people will discard their leads or, you know, oh, this person didn't pick up in like 1 or 2 calls. It's like, well, you got to be a hunter.
Yeah, people are humans. That's a kind of an oxymoron, very Captain Obvious thing to say. But we are, as humans, if you look at your life, you know, you're going to shoot someone a text and then you're going to forget about what you were talking about. You're going to, you know, say, you know, your wife asks you to do something on the honey-do list and you know you have to call a contractor to help you out or whatever the case may be. You're going to forget. It's the same with getting reviews on the back end. Like people can say and be perfectly willing to give you a review. But if you don't do that follow-up to connect with them, they're just going to forget. It's not going to be malicious. It's not going to be that they saw your Facebook ad and then hated your guts and never want to hear from you. It's that they probably just forgot. And so if you're not doing that follow-up, you're missing out on it. Some of my best clients, it was 2 years of follow-up. And they were working with someone else at the time, and then they were ready to come over to work with us. And you know, you're missing out on leads. So let's switch to pipeline management, because we talked about, you know, you got to get right on top of the leads, especially if they're coming from ads, because it's a bit more cold traffic than the referrals that come from Sally. But now you've got them, you've connected with them, or you haven't connected with them. They're now a lead in your system. Let's talk about pipeline management and how you help people with that.
Yeah. So let's say that, you know, you weren't able to connect with them. Right? Let's say that like you can't connect with them. You've been calling them, you're doing everything. So what we like to do is we like to do what's called a reactivation email campaign. It could be through text as well, but we call it a reactivation campaign. And basically what the reactivation campaign's job is to do is to pull out dead leads from your pipeline, right? So I'll tell you a quick story. So it's like, one of our clients that we've been working with, before working with us, I was like, what were you doing with all of your leads before? And he was like, oh, like if I wouldn't be able to get in contact with them, then I would just, never speak to them again. And if you think about that, it's like he's been in business for about 10 years. If you think about that, all of those leads that have come into his contact, and that if he just put them into a spreadsheet, and just had them organized, and then every single quarter or month or whatever, he could just be sending them emails just about different stuff that he's working on. It's like, how much would that have been worth to you, Now, obviously, now he has a CRM and all that stuff, and we can talk about all that. But it's like, a lot of businesses just don't even keep track of all that stuff, right? So anyway, so we do the reactivation campaign for people who are kind of ghosting us, right? They're not answering, they're ghosting, blah, blah, blah. And the reactivation campaign is very simple. It's based off of like an entrepreneur marketer that I really like, Dean Jackson, and it's called the 9-word email. So basically the 9-word email is, did you still want help with blank, right? So, hey, Lewis, did you still want help with getting your deck stained, Matt, right? And you don't say anything else. Like, you don't say, we've been in business forever. Like, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I blah, blah, blah. You just, a very simple, straightforward question. And psychologically, it's what's called an open loop. That's what Dean Jackson talks about. It's an open loop, and it basically forces someone to respond to you. So to say no or yes, it's going to get a lot of no's, but it's also going to get a lot of yeses. So those are really powerful to do on a quarterly basis, just to pull people out who aren't answering, right? And then let's say people who are like, hey, like, I'm really interested, but, just get back to me, or I need a month to think about it, or whatever. I need to, whatever, right? They need to think about it. They need a delay. Then they should be receiving at least like a monthly email or a monthly touch point of some kind that's like non-sales related. That's just like a touch point. You know what I mean? So it could be like 5 tips to keeping your, to having a beautiful curb appeal, or like 8 ways to blah, 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 So like little simple value type posts or information that you can send them. That's just a touch point, right? So you can automate that through email marketing. That's like something that someone can just go into, right? So those are some really simple things that you should be doing to like kind of nurture those leads. Yeah.
John has a question here, which I'll bring up. But when you talked about the 9-word email, it's funny because I've seen there's a bunch of people running Facebook ads for, hey, get my 9-word email.
Oh, really?
That open loop is so powerful. And the no's, you mentioned the no's, and a lot of people are scared of no's. There's also marketers that say, if you're not getting someone to telling you to F off, before lunchtime, then you're not marketing hard enough.
Dan Kennedy.
Yeah. So, but the no's, a lot of people are scared of getting the no's, but the no's are actually good, because now you can take those people off your follow-ups. So you've just saved yourself and them time, and they've given you a concrete answer, and you're able to move on with your life. But John has a question here. Any app that you recommend to help with follow-ups?
Yeah. An app recommendation. I mean, any good CRM will have like a good CRM, high level. There's a lot of different CRMs out there, but a lot of CRMs now will have some kind of automation in place where you can just kind of drag them to long-term nurture or something like that, John. And then it will just put them into like a drip campaign. You know what I mean? So you could do it that way. Or what you could do is just manually put them into like a MailChimp, which is just like an email marketing software, and you can put them manually into there, and then they could just be added to like a mailing list. You could do it that way. So there's different ways, but I would say like the best way would be using a CRM, and there's many great CRMs out there. For our clients, we use High Level, and for ourselves, we use High Level.
Yeah, we do the same. Andrew Thompson was on here earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here, but John, if you haven't checked out Autopilot, definitely check it out. It's specifically for junk removal. And cool. Andrew has been developing that for over a year now. And he's in beta. I think he's launching fully really soon. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Oscar says, Dallas here, you need a website? Shoot me a message. We'll hook you up.
There you go. Contact Lewis.
Yeah, we can take care of you. So We've got follow-ups. We've got, the follow-ups till you get a response with the 9-word email, and then nurturing people as well. Anything else you'd recommend for managing the pipeline? And I realized I didn't define pipeline for those that don't know, but your pipeline is basically your way of organizing the people that come in. So you've got like hot leads, you've got like, about to buy, you've got maybe to buy in 3 to 6 months. There's a bunch of different, ways that you can organize your pipeline. But that's what we mean when we talk about your pipeline, is the way you kind of organize people into buckets depending on where they are in the buying journey.
Yeah, I would just say, like, the tip I would give is actually organize your pipeline, is actually have different sequences in your pipeline, right? So if you're having a conversation with someone, but you don't get them to the point of having an appointment, which I would call like a discovery call, then you can just label them as like, lead, or like conversation with a lead or something like that. So that then you can go back and be like, oh yeah, like I forgot to actually get that person to book an appointment, or like if you get them to appointment, getting them to an estimate, and then getting them to the sale, and then getting them to like a follow-up sequence. So I would just say, like, having the actual sequences all laid out, and getting into, this is the hardest part, is like getting into the habit of actually at the end of the day putting them all into the right thing in your CRM. Otherwise it's kind of useless. And like there's automation and stuff like that can help with that, but you're still just going to have to get into the habit of like having conversations with people and be like, oh, like that's a person I should probably put in my CRM, like you're definitely going to have to. Yeah.
Yeah, a good CRM will let you set follow-up tasks as well. So if you talk to someone and then you're like, hey, maybe they're going to be good, in a month or two, or they've mentioned, hey, reach out to me, you can set a task and it will automate a reminder to you in some form or fashion.
I've basically realized though, like if you're going to run Facebook ads and you're going to do it seriously, you need to have a good CRM and appointment setting system set up. Otherwise, you're kind of just like throwing money at the wall.
Yeah. I love it. Matt, this has been fun. This is always enjoyed chatting with you. Some good nuggets here. Anything that you want to touch on that we didn't touch on that will help people kind of think outside the box here when it comes to marketing with ads here?
I would say the number one thing, if looking to do some marketing with ads, is just think about how can I connect with people like on a genuine level. Because I think that a lot of contractors are just kind of putting out ads that look like ads just based off of stuff that they've seen, because they're like copying what they think works. But what's working really well right now is just being super genuine. Hey, what's up, you guys? My name's Matt here, and I just want to help you with your painting project or whatever it is. Like the more genuine connection that you can convey in your message and your ads, the harder that the better they're going to connect, and the harder they're going to hit.
So you're saying people buy from people, and if you show up as a real person, it's going to be to your advantage?
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. That's a big one, guys. And if you mentioned the before and after pictures, the video there that you have people do, the what was the other one there, the branded like action shots, team working. How do you find, like, say a selfie with a customer or something like that? Where would you put that in the mix?
Yes, that goes in the video selfie category. So we actually have several different scripts and scenarios on the video selfies. So one would be like you standing next to a customer being like, hey, like, how did we do? Another one would be you like speaking on behalf of the customer. Another one would be you just doing a walkthrough, and we actually use AI to like AI our clients' voices, so they don't even have to show themselves.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Then like another one would be like, why am I standing in front of this brand new kitchen? Well, because we did this. So just things like, we give you different hooks and stuff like that.
That's fantastic. Some great ideas right there that you laid out. I know a client that we weren't running the ads, but I saw him do videos for this where he would actually take reviews and he would read the reviews off while he was on a job site. So it was like,
that's really good.
The other day we got, Sarah, we did a job for her and she was thrilled, and here's the review, and he'd bring it up on the screen and read it off there. Super simple, super easy to do.
Yeah, I think that is a really good idea as well. I would say though that having the person like in the actual video, just the level of proof there is
takes it to another level.
Yeah, it's just going to take it to a whole other level, because it's just like people like, just, I don't know, people are like, oh, Google reviews could be faked, this is not real. And maybe like, you could bring in an actor, I guess, but like, I think that there's something to be said for having like that real genuine person there,
Yeah. And then for anybody saying, oh, I can never get my clients to do that, I think Brad summed it up well on a previous episode. He's like, well, how many other things are you not willing to do for your business? Kind of the marketing without rules tagline right there, right?
That's like people who say like what you were talking about with the reviews, like, oh, like nobody ever leaves reviews or whatever. Like, well, how many times are you asking? How often are you asking? And how are you asking?
Yeah. Ryan says, love this, guys. And then he also asks, any insights, ideas on YouTube and video/YouTube ads?
I can't talk about YouTube ads, Ryan, because we haven't really ventured into there enough yet. So I can't really speak to that. If you want to learn about YouTube ads, I would say that Brian Moncada from adspend.com, like that guy seems like he really knows what he's talking about with YouTube ads. But I can't like speak to him or anything like in terms of how the service is, but I've watched some of his stuff. He seems really to know what he's talking about. In terms of the video stuff, like I said, for Facebook ads right now, the video selfies, that by far is working the absolute best. Just do it on a simple iPhone, just film yourself, super 1 minute long, don't overthink it. And those are working really well right now.
Amazing. We got Jamie tuning in on YouTube. Appreciate you. She's been a supporter right from the start of the show. So good to have you here, Jamie. Matt, as we wrap up, guys, it's been an hour almost. So any final thoughts for someone who's looking to have an agency run ads or run the ads themselves? What's something that you would leave people with as we jump off?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to have an agency run the ads for you, make sure that they have a track record. I would say make sure that they have involvement in your industry, right? And I would say like that they specialize in ads, because there is a lot of companies that will do like websites, SEO, ads, like kind of like everything. But I would say, and trust me, like just from doing it for so long, like you want to work with someone who's like very specialized in ads. Just like if you're getting your website done, like you want to work with someone who like specializes in websites, like Lewis, So it's so specialization, very important. If you're looking to do it yourself, then I would say just don't be afraid to spend money. Like pre-negotiate with yourself, like what am I willing to spend here? And then just like put the time into doing it properly. Like spend a week, come up with the concepts and all that, and then put it out there. And don't be afraid to spend money on your business.
That's huge. Matt, great conversation. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. This was another great episode of Marketing Without Rules. And remember, guys, don't be a gatherer. If there's a final thought that I'd like to drive home with everyone, it's like whether you're having someone run the ads for you, you're running them, whether they're coming from referrals, get on those leads right away. Have a follow-up sequence. Be a hunter. Hunt those down until they tell you that they want to buy or tell you to F off. That's kind of the two outcomes that you want to be searching for. So Matt, thank you. We'll wrap up off air real quick. And guys, we will see you guys. Actually, we've got 3 this weekend. We've got today's with Matt. We've got tomorrow's with Jim Klauck. And then Sunday, I've got one with Adam McChesney. So it's a 3 for this weekend. So tune in. We'll be here tomorrow and Sunday as well. Matt, thank you. We'll close down here and see you in the after show.
Thanks, buddy.